So today I'd like to talk about how our empathic skills are developing and how they're expanding and starting to change the way we relate to other people in just the most beautiful of ways. A few months ago, I went into a store here in Southern Oregon, and I was talking with um, the girl working the register. She looked to be like in her mid 30s, a little bit younger maybe, and everything about her looked just fine. She spoke fine, she talked fine, she walked fine, and we were just having this nice little conversation. And then I asked her if they had any crystals there because I'm a crystal girl. And she said, sure. And we're still talking, just chit chatting, getting along great. And we get over to where the crystals are. And I look down and I see the exact one that I was wanting, what I had set the intention out that day to find. And I picked this stone up, and there's no tag on it. There's no name on it. There's no price tag on it. But I pick it up, and the moment I pick it up, everything in my head goes quiet, like eerily quiet. Not like, if you walk into another room and you forget something, like, why did I come into this room? It wasn't like that. It was like it was quiet. And I found myself like trying to search for the name of this stone because all of a sudden I couldn't remember what the name of the stone was. So I hand this to the woman I've been talking to, and she's holding it in her hand. She never says what the name of the stone is either. And I noticed that we were both quiet. Like, she became quiet the minute I picked up the stone. And our conversation that had been flowing very easily now just became a few words here and there as we made our way back up to the counter. And then she told me I'll have to reach out to my manager to find out what the price is of this. And as I was watching her do that, I could tell she was like a little unsure about something. And I just picked up my phone. I knew exactly where to find the name of the stone. And the second I did, I said, oh, yes, it's black tourmaline. And she smiles at me. In the silence inside of me that I was feeling, it was a different feeling than I had felt before. Inside my head, it dissipated. And then we started talking again. And within a matter of like a couple of minutes, this woman let me know that she had had a massive stroke 2 years before that. Very young to have had a massive stroke. Now, usually when you have a massive stroke, well, not usually, but for some people, there's, some signs. Sometimes there's an arm, a hand, there's some trouble with that. There may be some trouble walking. Sometimes there's some loss of or paralysis on one side of the face. There was nothing with this woman at all. And however, she proceeds to tell me that, when it first happened to her, she had lost vision out of one of her eyes, and all of some of these terrible repercussions or that happen when you have a stroke. She had them, but she had worked through them. She did some very, very intensive therapy. However, the one thing that remained with her was she would forget words. She would forget what things were called. And she was working with a therapist on how to find, new avenues through her brain to search for and retrieve back out the words that would just leave her. And that's exactly how it felt. It felt like all of a sudden everything just left my brain. And I realized, after that it was, and the growth of the empathy of being an empath, because I was now able to not only understand what she was saying, but I could feel what she had gone through. And when you feel what somebody is going through, it changes you. And then I'll share one other story about this. This one actually happened back in 2019. And I was still working in the corporate world. And in this, where I worked at, we had three corporate buildings that were there, all different offices in them. Each one was like 20 stories high, and across the street was an apartment complex, and there was a nice area to go walking, between the buildings and the apartment complex. So I would go out at lunch and walk, and I was doing that this day. And I do my whole round, and I end up walking by one of these buildings, and I see this woman coming out of this building. I did not know her, and she was talking on the phone, laughing. And she was wearing what I would refer to as a very, very sexy date night dress. It was low cut cleavage, but from the side, you could see side boob. Just be honest, you could see it. And I, had a moment reaction where I was like, oh God, why did she wear that dress to a corporate office for work? And in the next moment, I went, I don't know her. I'm not about to judge her for this. And so I just went on my way, and I went and started doing a whole nother lap. Well, about 10 or 15 minutes later, I catch back up to the same spot of where I was. And this woman is now no longer talking on the phone. And like, she's standing here and I'm coming along this way. She has her back toward me. She's listening to music, and I can see she's got an earbud in, and she's swaying like this to the music. And as I get closer to her, I see this bubble of energy, like it comes out from her, and it encases me into this energy with her. And once I was in that energy with her, I started to see the melody notes coming through the energy to me. And now I could hear the music, and, I could hear it to sway to, but then I could feel what she was feeling. And this woman was very much in love with herself in the best way. It was not an ego. It was so strong, and it was so pure the way she loved herself. It hit me like, of course she wore something that made her feel so beautiful. She felt that beautiful about herself. And it felt so good. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to leave her energy. And this woman had no idea, right? Her back's to me. She has no idea I'm there. She has no idea I'm feeling this. But as I start to walk away, I can see the bubbles starting to separate, and this feelings, leave me. And I found myself going, wow, I wish I loved myself like she loves herself. That is what I walked away from her with. Now, that was back at that time. I can promise you I love myself that much now. But back then, I was still working, doing a lot of work on myself. And it just shows you, you do not know what's going through someone. And then when you do know this, it changes everything. And to this day, even if this woman saw this, she would never know I was talking about her. But I have never forgotten her. And that beautiful lesson that she taught me, one, about preconceived judgments, and two, about how much we should love ourselves. It was really quite amazing. So those are two stories about being empathic and how that skill set is growing out. Because if we can feel how other people feel, we can even experience it in a dose of our own, like in those two cases. It changes everything. It changes all about how we communicate to people, what we think of them. And it's part of what I believe to be our next evolution as we move into the 5D. Anyway, if you've had any experiences like that, I would love to hear about those. Put them in the comments. And I'll also say that if you would like to, get yourself more clear up your vibration, get these old contracts off of you so that you can really start to feel and understand who you are in your own vibration. I have some sessions available on my website. I'd love to work with you. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.